Coming up in Down Under EV Adventures, I drive around an Atto 2 in Perth for a few hours. I got it as a loan car and it's a great little machine. Let's check it out. Welcome back everyone to the channel. Thanks for joining me today for this look at the Atto 2. Now unfortunately I was supposed to do an episode about my trip to Perth, but I had a few software glitches and unfortunately I haven't had time to put together the episode. So we're going to have a look at the Atto 2 instead, which is a car which I got as a loan car when I was in Perth. So I dropped off my car and I got the T-box fixed and they gave me this as a loan car. And I gotta say it was a great little car, but we'll come to that. Let's first join me as I'm sitting in the car park at BYD and have my first look at the car. Okay, I am in an Atto 2. So this is the first time ever in an Atto 2, so it's actually quite roomy inside. Got a sunroof here which has been opened. You can see it's a very wet day in Perth while I'm filming this. I've just dropped off my Sealion 7 to get the T-box done. The screen is a lot smaller on it, but I'll just give you my first impressions sitting in here. So you've got like a charging spot there on the left. Got a few physical buttons here. And they're not haptic ones, so they are like a proper button you can press. It's quite nice. Got a little storage compartment there in the middle. It looks like it's possibly got vented seats, but I'll delve into the menu maybe and have a look at that. And you can see a nice little dash cluster here as well. Let's go and drive somewhere and just stop and have a look at it. So before we go on, the Atto 2 comes in two variants. There's the base dynamic model and the premium model, which I'm driving. So the main differences are the premium gets heated, ventilated and electrically powered front seats. It also has the sunroof, which you saw earlier, and it has a few other minor differences. The main one being that the screen is 12.8 inches as opposed to just 10.1 in the base model. Other things of note are the premium gets electrically folding mirrors and also has 8 speakers instead of 4. Now if we turn to things like the battery specs, well, both models get the same 51 kilowatt hours approximately battery, with the WLTP driving range claimed at 345 kilometers. Okay, a few little things I had to get used to there. So the wipers, so the indicator's actually on the left hand side, but the wipers are incorporated in there, so a little bit weird. It's got a rear one on the right here, so it does have a rear wiper. And then the front wiper is this one here, this silver thing here. So I don't really like that. That's bit too weird for my liking. The actual gear lever is on the right, so reverse is up, down is drive, and then you press it in to go to park. To park, it goes like that. Okay, so you've got your mode switch here. What have we got? We've got eco, normal, sport and the snow. See, they've charged to 100%. That was very nice of them. Looks like you have got the auto hold as well, standard and high. Okay, so that's your regen here, standard, high. That's the demister button by the looks of it. So regen, demister and your volume. Right, now let's see if there's any pesky things here like lane keeping I can get rid of. Somewhat familiar, the thing here, emergency lane keeping assist, I can turn that one off. Okay, open door warning, blind spot, they're all good. Assist mode is off, so none of that lane keeping I don't really want, but everything else is pretty good. So it's got rear cross traffic, rear collision, traffic sign recognition, intelligent speed warning. I probably don't want that either. Alright, parking sensors is always good. And intelligent cruise control. Let's see how intelligent it really is. This all looks fairly similar, to be honest. System, service, vehicle. So you have got seat heating and ventilated seats, so that's pretty good. Not bad. Let's have a bit of seat heating because it's a little bit chilly today. I wonder if it's got the 3 fingers. It does. 3 finger swipe. Perfect for the fan. So that's pretty good. I guess you could probably set up some shortcuts here. Maybe. Oh yeah, there you go. Lane assist. Okay, so that's all pretty good. Comfort and comfort. Comfort suits me. And it's got a hill descent. That's not bad. So far it's pretty intuitive what you got. It doesn't look like it's got any ambient lighting that I can see, which is a shame, but I don't know enough about this model. Pretty typical door controls here. Let's have a quick look outside. Hey, you got a nice light bar. I really like that. Got a repair kit. Obviously no spare. The boot's handy. Probably not as big as an Atto. Oh, manual boots. It looks quite nice. Plenty of room in the back seat. It's a pretty spacious car. Looks like you've got a few speakers. There you have got an air vent and a couple of chargers. It looks like a USB-C and a USB-A. So not bad. Chunky. These handles here, not bad. It's pretty conservative on the inside. Definitely no Atto 3. You've got a pretty roomy glove box. That's pretty handy. Air vents. But the colour is a bit drab on the inside if I'm honest. But it's a very functional car. So we can close the sunroof with this. You can see it's got the blind. So that's pretty good from BYD. Most likely it's got the party trick rotating screen. I don't know, has it? Oh, I can't see anything, so maybe it doesn't. Maybe this one doesn't have the rotating screen. I'll have to have a look online and do a bit of research. Let's take it for a drive. So I have put it into sport mode, but I'm just wondering how powerful it is. I can't imagine it would be very powerful, this car. Be a bit lighter than the Atto 3 perhaps, so it might feel punchy, but let's drive it around in sport mode and see how we go. Okay, that was actually quite zippy, and I did put the heated seats on, and gee, that was nice and toasty, which is pretty good because it's a bit of a miserable day here in Perth. It's overcast, rainy. It's not too cold now, it's starting to warm up. But, yeah, anyway, the cruise control is down here. To press it, you just, to start it, you just press that. And use this to go faster and slower, just like on the Sealion. And if you turn off this intelligent cruise control, so just like every other BYD that I've driven, it's absolute crap with this trying to center you, which is stupid. If you want to avoid a pothole or something, it tries to wrench the steering off you, so I just disabled that. And then you've just got normal cruise control, which is much better. Economy is showing 12.9, of course, which is excellent for this smaller car. It probably weighs less than the Atto. I'll put the weights on the screen. So just quickly once again, the current model Atto 3 is 160 kilograms heavier than this premium version of the Atto 2. So first drive wasn't bad, a zippy little car and pretty economical in the city there, 12.9 so far. Just used 3% getting back to the Airbnb. So I'm going to have a little look at the car again on the outside and have a look at some of the highlights of it. Let's see if it's got a frunk. Let's pop the bonnet. So I noticed the charging hatch here is at the front. Got twin caps. So just like the Atto, the charging port's right there. No latch, but no hydraulic struts on this. So like my wife's Atto, got to put the bar up there to keep it. It's pretty heavy actually, the bonnet here, and no frunk. You can see there's the motor there. Can't see a 12-volt battery here. So I was right, there is no 12-volt battery here. It's actually underneath the rear passenger seats in the Atto 2 in Australia. It probably is a lithium battery now because they've moved away from the lead acid ones. Now there's plenty of room in here. You probably could get an aftermarket frunk. You've got some nifty things there which you might be able to fasten the frunk on there. Or I'm sure some clever clogs has made something where you can just put one in. So that's what's under the bonnet. BYD badge. The lights look okay at the front. The wheels, I can't really say they're that great. I have got Hankook iron-ons though, so nice tyres. I'm a fan of the Hankooks. And the door handles, they're sort of recessed, which I suppose is good. But you've only got the micro button on the other side, on the driver's side, so you can't unlock it on here like you can on the Sealion. What do you think of the styling up there? So it's pretty boxy. It's okay. It's not the best looking car in the BYD range, I don't think. It's nice to have a rear wiper though. That's always good. Got the shark fin antenna up there, which always looks nice too. And of course the light bar is nice. I don't know, the styling it's a little bit bland. The colour probably doesn't do the car justice either. Not a particularly nice colour, a bit drab I think. See, there's the four-wheel disc brakes, which look okay. So I think it would look nicer actually in another colour. I think that then it would look really good. But space-wise, gee, you've got some good space on this car. Well, you know, you could have a small family in here, not an issue at all. So that, you know, the size is pretty impressive on the inside. That's definitely a plus point. And notice here it's got the hidden drinks holder and armrest as well in the middle there. And under here, like quite a few of the BYD range too, you've got some charging ports as well and a 12 volt there. So some nifty little storage there, which again is on most of their models. So it's a pretty nice car, I have to say. I'm really enjoying it actually. It's quite zippy and it's probably better than I thought. The ambient lighting as such is probably just this thing here in the doors. I won't have this car tonight, so I won't be able to see it. My car's just about ready, so I'll have to go back to BYD. I think that's where the ambient lighting is. Another difference between this and the base model is this one has 17-inch tyres, whereas the bottom model has 16-inch. Okay, to finish off our review of the Atto 2 today, what we'll do is we'll have a look at the navigation system, how we can use that, and then I'll tell you about what I thought of the driving ability, and finally we'll work out what percentage of the battery I used to cover the kilometers. In other words, the economy that I got and the expected range at that economy. So yeah, if you're in Perth, they have moved to this new one. They've moved quite a while ago. If I can find it, there we go.
Alright. Will start now. In 100 meters at the end of the road, turn left to Ellisdale Avenue and then enter the roundabout.
So that's how to do it through the navigation to find a destination. Now I'll try it by voice activation this time. Hey BYD.
What's up?
Navigate to 345 Scarborough Beach Road, Osborne Park.
Here is 345 Scarborough Beach Road, Osborne Park, Perth, Washington 6017, Australia. Want to go there?
Yes.
All right. Starting navigation. Guidance will start now. In 100 meters at the end.
Okay, so there's two ways you can do the navigation there. You can just do it manually, or you can do it through the car. So we'll see how good the navigation system is here. It seems to be all integrated quite well. It's a good little package, this car here. And what's it like to drive? Well, it's got a little bit of punch to it. Obviously, it's nothing like the Sealion 7. It reminds me, I guess, of the Atto, sort of how it accelerates away. But I feel like it's a tad lighter than what the Atto threw. It'll be interesting to see when I look up those weights. I think it's pretty well laid out with everything. Again, there's some familiarity between this and other models. The only thing I dislike is this wiper control here. I don't know why they seem to want to change things. It was perfectly good just having a separate lever for wipers that you could use for all the controls, but they've integrated it in with this with the indicator stalk, so don't really like it. Of course you would get used to it. This right stalk here is purely for the gears, and the park is if you press it in. Okay, and I worked out how to get the trip meter. So it's not on the stalk. Some overseas models do actually have it on the stalk, but for some reason we don't. You've got to go to settings, and where else do you think you would find it but sound and display? Yeah, a bit weird. Anyway, sound and display, going up to instrument, and you can see here always display odometer, trip A, trip B, and it looks like on this car it's never been changed because it's the same on every one. Obviously nobody's bothered to set it. Alright, so you can see we've used 11% of the car anyway, as I did when I first got the car, and then I can sort of give you a rough idea. That's my little quick review of the Atto 2. So this is just roughly what I got when I was driving. So I used 11% or thereabouts, which is 5.61 kilowatt hours of the battery to do 39 kilometers. That leaves an economy of 14.38 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. Now, if I was able to keep that economy, the expected range would be 355 kilometers. So I actually did better than what they claimed. Their claimed range is 345 kilometers. And I should just point out, I did a range of speeds and a range of roads. So I did some freeway driving, a lot of driving in the suburbs, of course, but I definitely wasn't shy with the accelerator. So I certainly had fun driving it around. It was a zippy little car. So I was really amazed at the economy really as well. So if you are after a small, fairly decent sized car for traveling around the city and for zipping around and doing things, I think this car would suit you to a T. I don't think it's really the sort of car you're going to want to do long trips with. I would say up to a couple of 100Ks is probably fine, but any more than that, you're probably going to need to go up a class of vehicle. But really, it's economical, it's comfortable, it's quiet, of course, and it's, packed with features. So yeah, I think that's the sort of car if you're looking for. I think you will really enjoy this. So yeah, take it for a test drive and see for yourself. I was certainly very impressed with it. So that's where we'll leave our review of the Atto 2, the premium version, which I drove just a couple of weeks ago when I was in Perth getting the Sealion 7 looked at. And that was the episode which I was hoping to bring you this week, my trip that I did to Perth. I'm still hoping to get that to you in the next few days. It will all just depend on how my software is going to go. I'd nearly finished the episode and unfortunately I had some major software issues, but I'm still hoping to try and get that done. But if not, we'll have definitely some other stuff for you. So thanks very much for joining me today. I really appreciate it as per normal, and we'll bring you some great content soon on Down Under EV Adventures. Now do take care out there and stay warm in this cooler weather that we're having, and bye for now.